election basics, so go ahead and take notes. So our most essential question is, why do we even have elections? Simple, it's because America is too complex. We can't put every single issue or every piece of legislation up to the general public for them to decide, because we have too many different views in America. So instead of voting for particular issues or referendum, we elect candidates who best represent our interests, those who most align with our values and our beliefs. So we don't vote for policies, we vote for people. So this kind of helps hold the candidates accountable. California, however, tries to implement public voting on referendum more often than other states do. So they're not an example of a look at. They did put up for public vote the plastic bag issue. They voted to ban plastic bags. Right. They're not allowed to use plastic bags because they're bad for the environment. They either use the paper bags or they use canvas bags. What kind of bags? The canvas reusable bags?
I thought you said canvas bags.
Right. It's like a grocery stores. Jacob? Did you have a referendum you'd like to put up for vote?
No, I like the way we do it.
Do more. Can we move on to the next slide?
No.
Okay. I did share this with you on Classroom. There you go.
Oh, keep it here.
Again now? Okay. So, when we vote, there's a problem called adverse selection, which is not having all the necessary information to make a choice. Most often you have this problem if you're buying a used car, because the salesman is doing everything that they can to sell you this car. They're not telling you about all the accidents the owners had with it, 8 years ago. You check your Carfax. Okay? So the salesman is trying to present this car and get it sold. Same thing with politicians. They're not telling you every single dirty thing they've done, all the accidents they've been in, or the flood damage. They're trying to present themselves to the best light. What?
I was talking about Lacey and all her accidents.
So the politicians use propaganda techniques that we've talked about, such as card stacking, only showing the good things they've done, transfer, showing patriotic images for you to associate with that particular candidate, testimony, having celebrities endorse them, and other techniques. They leave out the bad information, so the opposition usually jumps up on the opportunity to bring up all the bad information. However, it's not always 100% accurate. If we take the spin propaganda technique, it uses a particular phrase or statistic that from a candidate and spins it in a negative light. So, in short, we have to do our own research on a candidate to ensure that we do have all the information, checking our Carfax on our candidates. That's what you should do, bud. Here's your Carfax for candidates. It was a good idea. It was your idea. If I did it, then I'd be stealing your idea.
That's fine. That's how Facebook was doing.
So, Connor, what's adverse selection? Looking at me, not the board.
What you just talked about, saying like only the good things and not bad things. Not just.
So you only have what?
It's like car stacking. You said that. It's like this. Like if they were trying to sell that car, you're gonna be like, well, you probably wouldn't sell it at all. But I don't know. Just say like.
But what do you lack?
All of the information.
Right. Accountability, like I mentioned earlier. So elections hold candidates accountable for their job. So if they don't do a good job, if they don't properly represent the people who voted for them, they can be voted out of office the next term. However, this doesn't always happen because our elections in America aren't as competitive as they should be. So incumbent candidates typically will win because they have an incumbent advantage. Do you know what an incumbent candidate is? Okay. The incumbent candidate is the one who is already in office and they're up for re-election. So during the last presidential election, Barack Obama was the incumbent candidate. So for a lot of voters who are uneducated, they will just vote for the incumbent candidate because they know their name. Name recognition helps with incumbents. They also, with an incumbent, you know how they have performed in the past, so you know what to expect of them as opposed to a newer candidate. So not always are politicians held as accountable as they should be with this system.
So like in that case, for like presidency, is it more common for a president to serve 8 terms or 2 terms or 1 term?
Unless they do an exceptionally terrible job, it's common for them to have. Or if you're a TR, you get 4 terms. Bless you. Alright, so now on to the Constitution, what it says about elections. The Constitution itself doesn't have real rules for elections, it's more up to the state levels to decide when they're going to have their primary elections, who's allowed to register, when can you register. But the Constitution does lay out qualifications for running for a federal office and the number of representatives and senators that each state has. It also lays out the function of the Electoral College. And the 12th Amendment had fixed the problem of vice president in elections. So up here on the board, I have my 2 stick figures. This one here is my Republican, this is my Democrat. Prior to the 12th Amendment, this guy here, the Republican, received 80%, and the Democrat received only 20%, so this Democrat who lost the election had to become the vice president for the Republican president. That was a problem because they're 2 opposing parties, they don't often get along, so the 12th Amendment said that the vice president kind of gets, or the president kind of gets to pick his own president, and it's from the same party, so this is the VP and not one for the opposing party. Danielle. Amendment fixed our vice president problem. Gonna look. Oh. Good. I like the snow flare. My goodness. I know. I was just looking for it.
It's alright, we did 4.